Yeah, gaming is one of our biggest verticals. We have a very, very huge cross-cut of the GameFi industry is a big way customer. We're big fans of it in general. You know, what I tend to talk about for gaming, and the reason that people get so excited about crypto for gaming is that virtual currencies have been a part of gaming for 15 years at this point. Like we were joking about this yesterday, which was that the IRS just released a new little FAQ. It wasn't even an FAQ, it was a little note.
It was a draft of the 2022 1040.
Yeah, draft. And they finally changed the verbiage from virtual currencies to digital assets on there. And I was joking that so now I don't know how to actually treat my World of Warcraft gold. I'm gonna have to go and do a 606 analysis on that to understand what I should be doing with it. But like gaming has had virtual currencies and this forever. And there's actually, it was well before crypto, there were people making money, mining gold in World of Warcraft and selling it. And so it's such a natural progression up there. And I like to sort of think that the reason it works really well is it ends up being a choose your own adventure for gaming. Like if you are someone like me, like I play video games, I love gaming. I haven't picked up a controller in probably 24 months. But if I were to, I don't have time to grind. Like I don't have time to go in and if you ever see that, there's that South Park episode where they have to kill like 1 billion pigs to like get the levels that they need to. I don't have time to do that. And so for me, I would throw money at the problem. Like I would rather just buy the nice sword online so that I can have like a fun gaming experience without getting the grind. Whereas, some kid in college who has a lot more free time than me, but does not have money would rather just do the grind and experience that way. So it lets you kind of pick your own it lets you pick your own adventure. It lets you kind of like pick your own way to interact with the game. Like, do you want to grind? Do you want to just play, pay to have a power character? And it's one of the really powerful parts of this. It's really, people were already making these decisions and now we're just turning that into an actual economic function.
Joe, anything you want to add to that before we move on?
Yeah, I just think it's such a good example of what you mentioned, Ron. So kudos to you of like, as far as friction, I think people are so excited about the gaming space because it feels the most ripe for this, right? It feels like the rails are already in place. We already have these mechanisms. We already have these in-game stores. We already have an in-game currency. We already have, and so I think it just seems so ripe for it. I think, part of the maturity we talked about before is like, well, what does it actually mean to do that? Are you holding those at, you talk about volume, microtransactions. How do you deal with the volume? How do you deal with the scale? Are you distributing those tokens? Are you just maintaining them on an internal ledger? Are you actually like sending them to someone's wallet? So now are you a custodian for those tokens?
Right. So
now do you have to make like SAB 121 considerations about your books there? So I think and I think it is.
Oh, we haven't even talked about SAB 121 because all the gaming companies are having to deal with that, which is so interesting. Like you're seeing SAB. Okay. To talk about like a very real world use case right now that is an enormous question in the industry, SAB 121 as it applies to gaming companies for their NFTs they're holding for their clients. So a lot of gaming companies custody their clients' NFTs. So I'll always go back to World of Warcraft. They don't use NFTs, but I'm sure they will. I kill the bad guy. I get a really cool sword. I don't necessarily transfer that directly into my wallet that I control. Blizzard might hold on to that for me. Are they now a custodian of assets? Like under SAB 121, yes. Are they now having to do fair market valuation of NFTs under SAB 121? Yes. Is there any guidance in the world on how to do fair market valuation of NFTs? Like, no. And so you're in this like really hard situation where you are a custodian, you are tracking these things, but you are still making up a lot of the rules as you go along to figure out how you're going to value these NFTs that you yourself mint. There's already this like conflict of interest if you're the minter of the NFT and you're doing the valuation and you control the market, like all these sort of weird things come into play there. But that's something that we're seeing today from clients.
Pat, Joe, to set some foundation for some folks who may not know, and I suspect they do, but SAB 121, the SEC's accounting bulletin 121 that was issued, Joe, remind me, was it 4 months ago, 3 months ago? I'm losing track.
More than that, I think.
Oh yeah, it seemed like decades ago.
Maybe spring, summer, I can't remember. It
came out of the blue, wasn't particularly expected, but kind of threw a lot of people for a loop. We're probably doing a SAB 121 deep dive. So Pat, Joe, you're going to be stuck with us again. We've only got a few minutes. Please do keep your questions coming. from the perspective of the slideshow and other things we wanted to cover, we did talk about POS accounting and staking and deferred revenue. I think we touched on crypto treasuries, and I wonder, can we dive into this a little bit more, Pat, Joe? What your thoughts on crypto treasuries and how that's being operated?
Well, I'll throw one thing out there for this, which we don't have to spend a ton of time because we have some good questions to chat about here.
Yep.
Crypto treasury it's a Rorschach test. Like I love the term because everyone in the entire world thinks of it as differently. You talk to the operators and they think crypto treasury means your compound vault where you put money and you earn yield. You talk to the CFO and they think it means cash flow. So like you take one of our marketplace customers that all the revenue is crypto, all their expenses are USD. Like it's the most elegant cash flow FP&A problem. It's a classic treasurer problem. Like, am I going to have enough money in USD to pay all of our developers 6 months from now? If I'm getting paid in ETH, how do I make those determinations? How do I set up hedging functions, all that kind of stuff? So that's a big part of it. The part that I'll offer that is maybe most relevant to a lot of the people on this that you should be talking about to your clients or to your company is treasury considerations for owed taxes. So this is another classic treasury function that you would have at a big company. Treasury would be monitoring how much money you're expected to owe on taxes next year and kind of keeping that in reserve, making sure you have that as cash, not exposure to derivatives or other equities, whatever it is. And so a lot of our clients have had this situation, especially during the winter here, where they did something. They did an airdrop. They minted some tokens. They had a really successful NFT sale that netted them, $100 million. Then the tokens dropped down to $20 million in value due to the winter, but they're still on the hook for $100 million of revenue and the taxes that come along with $100 million in revenue.
Right.
So the treasury function that I think tends to be most overlooked and most important for a lot of crypto companies is keeping the eye on that the amount of taxes you owe next year and making sure you are properly carving out the money so you actually have the money to pay those given the volatility of the rest of the assets. That's what I'll throw out there for this.